Hello and welcome to another edition of Food Chain with me, Jessie Era Magbakpo. Today we'll put our focus on the meat industry. Now, the meat market is expected to grow by 9.33% between 2024 and 2029. Today we are Choicy Meats and we'll be speaking to a director here, Mr. Cyril Opong, to find out how the industry is faring and some of the processes that are happening in the industry currently.
Well, the industry is doing well because there are a lot of new entrants. But what is happening is that people have the impression that there's a lot of money to be made in selling meat. So without doing proper checks and their homework well, so people come into the industry. So what is happening is that there is tending to be more supply than the off-takers. So it is affecting the profitability of the business, because people, when you have animals which have to go, you will sell them at a discount. Yes, not necessarily at an economic rate, but you sell it at a discount. When that happens, those others in the business are also forced to reduce their prices, and that may affect the long-term sustainability of the business itself and the industry.
Yeah. The influx of people into this business now, is it affecting the quality of meat that we are producing?
In some instances, yes, because a lot of people just are looking for business opportunities. Somebody will tell him that, hey, if you do piggery, is good, I hear it's profitable. Without any more analysis, they just get in and start doing it. So after having spent so much money doing it, then you definitely have to dispose of the animals. So that is usually where the challenge is, because people will just get in without analyzing what exactly it is that they want from the business, how they are going to run it, and what should be done to ensure that it is properly done and sustainably done. So those are some of the main challenges.
I think another key thing over the years has been the fact that people are easily geared towards buying imported meat products as well. We've been speaking about purchasing and promoting made in Ghana goods. How is that going?
Well, the imported meats honestly are a big challenge and a headache, because most of them come in at a cheaper cost than we can produce here. Because what we learn is that most of those farms outside in the EU and so on, they are subsidized, and they store it, and after a while they need to get rid of it, so they would sell it, and they have advantages of economies of scale. One farm will probably have 100,000 pigs, whereas here a pig farm with even 500 pigs is considered a big farm. You understand? The economies of scale, you just can't match that kind of size. They will definitely be cheaper than you when they are producing at scale. So if we allow them to just keep coming in, we will kill our industry here, because the industry is still growing and therefore cannot match and compete with already mature industries. So we need to be very careful about how much meat we allow into our market and at what price, if we want our own industries to grow.
There's that challenge currently, but as Choicy Meats, what are you doing in your own capacity to ensure that customers are attracted towards what you do and then they are able to buy from you?
Okay. Actually, Choicy Meats is a subsidiary of Opong Farms, yes, which is a farm set up in Akusi in the Eastern region. So what it is at the moment we focus exclusively on pigs. So we have close to about 300-400 pigs now on the farm. So what we do is we raise them ourselves. We prepare our own feed to make sure that everything is controlled. The feeding, the water, everything is controlled. So they have the very best feed possible. We buy only fresh, good quality products from the market. Just like the kinky sellers will go and buy maize to prepare kinky, it is the same sources we go to buy our maize. So we are actually competing with the kinky farmers when it comes to maize. When it comes to other ingredients like the bran and soya and fish, again, it is the same thing. We happen to have our own warehouse and feed mill, so we try to buy when things are in season, where the prices are a bit cheaper, so that we can store and get to market at a slightly reduced price. Because if you have to just go monthly to go and buy, prices will tend to rise when things are out of season. So at a certain time, you realize that the products you are giving to the market, the prices have gone very high, which we don't think is very good for anybody. Yes, so we try to keep our products as economically priced as possible. And again, that is what I was talking about. We buy in scale. So when you are going, when it's in season, and you are ready to buy quite in bulk, they would give you a slightly better price. You store it in the warehouse, and then you use it bit by bit during the course of the year. Hopefully by the time you would have run out, the next season would have come, and then you can repeat the process. So we do that to ensure that our pricing is reduced as much as possible, because it is the farm that feeds this place with the stock, the meat. So what we do is, when they are mature, we slaughter on the farm. We ice the meat, but even before we slaughter, we have a veterinary officer who comes to certify that the meat is wholesome. So right before the animals are slaughtered, there's a veterinary officer who comes, he certifies, issues the certificate, we slaughter the animals, and then we transport it on ice. We ice the meat, and then we bring it here. So when we get here, we transfer the meat into the cold room. We have a cold room, so we hang it in there, and then we, as and when it is needed, we remove some of the meat and process, because here we do our own processing. We do sausage, we do ham, we do bacon, and we also smoke, even though we don't do the smoking on site, but we do a lot of all those things. So depending upon what the market calls for, we prepare the products, and then we send it out. We do burgers, I mean, almost anything you want. If you want even specialty cuts, we can do it for you, because the pig, if you analyze the pig properly, those who know pork well, you can get so many different cuts, at least 30 different cuts of meat from it. So if that is what you want, again, we can do it for you. If you want to buy in bulk, you are a restaurant, you want to buy in bulk because of the farm, we can do that. We would slaughter the animals, prepare it, and then transport it here and ice it. So as and when you need it, you don't have to go far. You come, and we go virtually every week. Of course, it depends on how quickly it will move from the cold store. But if we have to go every day, we can easily do that, so that you are sure that with us, you are getting good quality, fresh meat, properly stored, and ready, well prepared for the market. So yes.
You spoke about the feed for your animals. Recently, we've experienced, even though you buy your feed components in large scale, but we've experienced a dry spell in other parts of the region, and which has affected the production here, the agricultural production here in Ghana. Some poultry farmers are already complaining about the high costs of producing the feed that they use now. Have you experienced that as well? Is that a challenge for you?
The truth of the matter is that, like I said, because I buy when it is in season, what we are using now is what we bought last year. So in another 2-3 months, if the situation doesn't improve, then it will affect us, because then we'll be ready to go and buy fresh stock, because what we bought last year has been running down throughout the year. So we are getting to our resupply level, where we need to get more stock to be able to go another year. So far we haven't been affected by the increasing prices, because we bought last year, but soon we'll have to go and buy for this year. So there's going to be a jump. Last year, for example, we managed to get a 50-kilo bag of maize at about 200 cedis. Right now, the going rate is at least 320. So you can see the kind of jump that is going to happen. It's about 60%. You understand? So that is the kind of thing. So when you have to buy inputs at that price, there is no way you can keep your stock prices the same, because one of the major components has just gone through the roof. Yes. So
now, the meat market is projected to grow by 9.33% between 2024 and 2029. As a stakeholder in the industry and even as Ghana, so do you think we are doing enough to meet this projection?
I'll say, I personally will say I'm not satisfied with what is being done, because we don't really experience or receive much government support. Virtually all that we do is as individuals. I was telling you about some of the imported meats. The government actually supports the farmers. They would buy the meat from you. You produce. All they want you to do is produce. They give you a guaranteed price so that when you are producing, you know what you are going to get from it. So you can plan long term. But with us, there is absolutely nothing like that. Recently, there was this swine fever which swept through most farms. As soon as it hits your farm, you are guaranteed you will lose all the animals on your farm. For 7 months, you cannot produce, because if you attempt producing, the pathogens which cause the disease are still alive. So if you start, it will clear them all again. So for 7 months, you are forced to sit on ice. Through all this, the animals you lost, the time you are waiting, you will not get 1 penny from the government. So if you are not determined, if you don't have, in quotes, deep pockets, you will not be able to do it again. So about half the farmers, I think that's my personal estimate anyway, I think about half, even the pig farmers who were producing as at 2 years ago, currently are no longer producing, because one, prices have gone too high, and two, when they were affected by disease, nobody came to their support. So I don't think the government is doing it enough in that regard.
But as a country, how do we ensure, and what role should governments play in ensuring that more businesses like this do not fold up?
Well, one of the things I think the government can do is to try and, if possible, guarantee some of the inputs for us. Yes, so that we don't have to go and compete, like I said, we compete with Kenke sellers for the same maize. But it's not even only pig farmers. The poultry farmers are even more than the pig farmers. They also do the same thing, because maize, again, for poultry, just like piggery, maize is a major component of the feed that you would use to feed them. So we need to have a mechanism in place so that as much as possible we have these things, because it's all part of the food security chain. So if we are able to ensure that the inputs are available, it will help. The other end is the marketing end. So that people do not, after they have raised the animals, really we need to have a way of helping to shift it. Because what then happens is that otherwise you have a couple of prime customers who tend to shift a lot. Everybody is targeting them, so that what they do is they play one supplier against the other and then beat the price down for their benefit. So you go there, if you want to sell, they'll tell you, this is our price, take it or leave it. If you are eager to sell, so you say, okay, fine. But then that price probably will not even help sustain your farm. So you would have sold it very cheap, but then at the end of the day, they will retail the meat for a much higher cost. So that is one of the things that we look at the marketing end, how assistance can be given to some of them, so that at the end of the day, whatever is produced, there is a ready mechanism, just like they are trying to do with the buffer stock, build silos and so on for maize. You could do similar things for meat farmers, so that all the poultry that is produced, for example, is shifted there. Anybody who wants, you just go to them and then buy from there. That way, it will be controlled. Yes, and then we can start competing with the imported products.
Now, we know the African Continental Free Trade Area is in full force. There have been calls on SMEs and private institutions to try and go into other markets in the sub-region. The support you asked from, you want from government? Do you think it's one critical way of helping farmers, meat farmers and other farmers to go into such markets?
Oh, as for improved markets, I think it will help all of us, honestly. The bigger the size of the market, just like some people produce theirs and then they ship it here. If we can also produce here and ship it out, then that way, honestly, even if there are 200 farms now, but it increases to 500, who cares? Because there's a market out there which will take whatever everybody is producing. So that will be fantastic if they can help us to be able to tap into a larger market outside, like the African Free Trade one. It will be wonderful news and wonderful business for farmers.
I think a huge part of the meat production area is also the processing bit. You are into meat processing as well. Do you think we are doing well as a country in that regard? And what is Choicy Meats doing differently?
Okay. With meat processing, again, I think we can probably do better. We can do better because for most of the farmers who just produce the meat and then they move it on. Most of the meat, I think the pork that is consumed, for example, it is the wayside joints and so on who would fry pork or roast the pork with fried yam and so on to sell. So there is very little processing and value added that way. But if we are able to produce, process the meat, when you process the meat, honestly, you add value to it. Not only value, but then if you process and package it well, it lasts longer. Some of the things you see in our place, for example, this is a vacuum packer. So with this, once we vacuum pack the meat can stay fresh once refrigerated for a minimum of 6 months. It will be as fresh as meat that you brought today and packaged. You understand? So those are some of the things that we try to do. When we do it, we do a lot of the packaging ourselves. We process and then we package so that we can take our time and sell. But packaging and processing, I think, is the way to go. When I started the business, honestly, it was as a hobby. We just had a farm in Akuse. I was happy to go there, look at my 10 pigs and smile and say, oh, I'm doing well. But then when it got to the time when the pigs were mature and you want to dispose them off, then the market women come in, the middlemen. They come, they tell you that, oh, next week we'll come for your animals. Next week they won't come. 2 weeks they won't come. So you call back, they say, oh, sorry, I forgot. Okay, you will come tomorrow. Of course, tomorrow they won't come. They'll come after 2 days. Now when they come, they look at your animals. Oh, your animals are nice. How much? You tell them 5 cedis a kilo live weight. They say, what? 5 cedis? How can you charge 5 cedis? It's too much. I'll give you 2. So at the end of the day, you realize that you will be glad after haggling for an hour plus that even 3 cedis a kilo, you should probably take it, because if you don't take the offer of 3 cedis, the person is going with the money. The pigs are still eating. You can't explain to them that I don't have money, so please today don't eat. They will eat. Yeah. You understand? So, and it costs money and you don't have money. So the only thing to do is sell the animals and let it. So at least you can get money to feed the rest. Yeah. So after 2-3 cycles, I decided that no, this is not good enough. Problems are meant to be solved. So if that was a problem, disposing of the animals, I need to go up the food chain. Then we got the shop. That's where Choicy Meats came in, to be the outlet for the meat that Upon Farms was producing. So that is where this one came in. So as we came and we started, we realized that the greater the variety, the better. So the vacuum packer, for example, was one of the latest machines we had. Yes, and of course the FDA comes here often. We are licensed by FDA. So when they come and inspect and make sure they are happy with the processes and the way we are doing things. Where they are not happy, they advise us that you need to improve this. So one thing, they've been quite supportive. Most times, if they are not happy, they will give you advice and time to improve.
You've been in this business for a while now. Now you process the meat too as well. What's one key thing that many other meat processors are not doing that you think is important? Is it the safety of the meat and then the handling?
Well, as for the food safety and handling, it is fundamental to maintaining and sustaining your business, because you only need one incidence of food contamination or somebody complaining that he was sold unwholesome meat, and it could finish your business forever if you are not lucky. So food handling, food hygiene are things you need to take very, very seriously. This shop, yes, we operate it, but I am not here most of the time. There are people, there's a gentleman here who does the processing, there's a front office manager, and they are all here. So whenever I come in, it is to make sure either there are issues or to find out how things are going, and generally to satisfy myself that things are going as they should be done. So hygiene and cleanliness are very, very important. We fumigate this place quite regularly with food safe chemicals. Again, when the FDA come, they inspect all those things. Apart from that, the place is cleaned daily. First thing in the morning, before any sales start, we clean the place. They use them, the equipment, whatever it is. After every batch, you clean before another batch would come. So we have a couple of machines here now. Like I said, this, for example, is our vacuum packing machine. So this one actually is what we use to seal the meat. We seal the meat into a vacuum. And so once it's in a vacuum, what it means is that there is no air within. So that if there is no air, bacteria, etc., can't grow. So when you pack anything in it, it stays that way for quite a long time. So this is one of the latest machines we had. This is a sausage stuffing machine. Again, when we finish preparing the sausage, it is put in this machine and we connect certain things to it, pipes and so on, so that this is what, so the tubing for the sausage, yes, is connected, and then so we can do at a go. This is about 5 kilos or so at a go. So you do it, and then so you do it in bulk. So that's what we do. That one. This is a slicer. This is basically for prepared meats like ham and so on, cooked ham and things like that. You know, when you are going to use it for sausages, you normally would want it in thin slices. Yes, so this machine would give us those ultra thin slices that you need for sausages and so on. So that is what this machine is actually meant for. This is a slicer. Then next to this we have a grinder. This is what helps us to mince the meat, to make the sausages, to make the burgers and so on. Yes, then this is our main slicer, the newer and bigger one. That is a smaller one that we initially started with, but this is a much bigger machine. It does a whole lot more. It can cut much more. So as the business grew, we realized that we needed a stronger machine.
Are the machines imported?
Yes, none of them. These were all imported. We actually bought most of them from the UK.
The major challenge for most importers is the import duties they have to pay. Do you have that challenge? Well,
Yes. Import duties can be a killer. Just for the farm, we also have a scale we use for the farm. They are actually animal farm scales. They are newer ones which you can actually, when you use, they have Bluetooth, so you don't have to identify each and every animal. You have electronic ear tags, so we tag all the animals. So weighing them through those scales are quite easy. So we recently bought one, just this year. We bought a farm scale. By the time, so looking at the cost, we thought we could afford it. So let's go for it. Normally, you would expect that by the time you bring in the equipment, transport, duties, everything would add about another 30% to the value of the equipment you bought. This time it was almost 100% the cost of the equipment. Almost 100%. And that honestly caught me totally off guard. But fortunately, we were able to push and then have the machine released. Because after having spent so much, you dare not let them seize the machine for demurrage. And the longer it takes to, the higher the duties and it's as for import duties. Honestly, it's a killer these days. So it deters. We had planned to even bring in another piece of equipment, which was a refrigerated van, an electric refrigerated van to help distributing the meat. Because it's best, right now you cannot just go around, put it in a van like you do bread and say you are going to sell. Because being meat, it will start deteriorating as soon as it's out of refrigeration. So we thought we should get a refrigerated van to do that business. The cost of the transport and duty was going to exceed the cost of the van. So I still haven't bought it. The essence of having this place and all the equipment and so on was to retail. But having started and been doing all that, what we realize is that, yes, retail, you get people coming in, housewives and those who know how to cook generally. Ghanaians like pork. In fact, they love pork. But most Ghanaians don't know how to prepare pork. They know how to eat the pork. So when the pork is ready-made, ready to eat, that one, you will get a long queue. So those who sell the most, who would buy the most from the farm, eat the and they are those who actually are doing the ready to eat. Yes, this place, because we deal more in fresh, it doesn't move as fast. So of course we are assessing the situation to see how we can address it. This is like pork chops, right? This is just freshly packaged. You understand? So it comes in a packaging like this. This one we've run out of our own branded package. So we've now ordered some and it's yet to come. But this is a sample of what it looks like. The difference between this packaging and ordinary packaging is that if you watch the rubber appears to be clinging together. Yes, which tells you that all the air has been sucked from it and then before the thing was sealed. So this is what we call when we talk about vacuum packing. Yes, so what we do is that's what this machine does. You put it in and you close it, it will suck out all the air and seal it automatically before you take it out. So when you take it out, it's like this and it's good to go. 6 months, it's as fresh as it was done today.
We've been speaking to a director here at Choicy Meats who has been complaining bitterly about the influx of imported meat products, which he says is a major challenge for local meat producers here in Ghana. This has been Food Chain with me, Jessie Era Magbakpo. See you on another episode.